This is the Beef Podcast, presented by Beefy Marketing in partnership with Community Bank of Texas, an FDIC member and equal housing lender.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Beef Podcast. I'm your host, as always, John Kelly, a.k.a. John the Marketer on Instagram. Make sure you're following us there, as well as Beefy Marketing. They help make this thing happen. Community Bank of Texas right along with them. So make sure you find them on all of your social channels. Give them a follow as well. In the studio with me today, I have Stacey, Kingdom Kitchen Meal Plan. Stacey, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, man. We're happy to have you because we want to hear about your product here at Beefy Marketing Studios because the owner, Andrew, and I, we have been on a bit of a health kick lately. And now, when I say lately, this is filmed right after and recorded right after Thanksgiving. So that was not a health kick for us. We were on a eat everything that we can and be as big as we can kick there. But before that and now, here until Christmas, we're on a health kick. And we're trying to eat healthier. We're trying to work out every day that we're here and just make better choices for ourselves, you know? So we're excited to kind of see what you have because I know whenever you wrote to me, you said that basically you treat the body like a kingdom and a temple. And that we need to take care of it. So I like that. I think that it jives pretty well with what we're trying to do with our bodies now. So let's start out with an icebreaker question. That way we can get this thing kicked off. What is, and I chose this one because it kind of goes along with, you know, your company here. What is your ideal breakfast? The perfect breakfast if you could have it every single morning.
Man, I love breakfast. Eggs, pancake, and Canadian bacon.
Really? Canadian bacon?
Canadian bacon.
Okay.
Love me Canadian bacon.
Man, I just like regular bacon.
You ever had Canadian bacon?
I have. I do like Canadian bacon. I mean, to me, it's just fried ham, right? I don't know. I'm not the food expert, but it just seems like it's just fried. And it's good. Don't get me wrong. I love it. I think it's great. I would say perfect breakfast for me. Normally, we kind of run with breakfast tacos because it's just so easy. And I don't mind if it's chorizo. I don't mind if it's sausage, bacon, potatoes, whatever. But if I could just choose one from here on out, it's nice and easy, man. Just tortilla, bacon, eggs, and hot sauce. A little bit of cheese.
Well, here's the thing. I did not grow up in the U.S.
Right.
I didn't grow up in the U.S., so bacon is still not, normal to me, and Canadian bacon reminds me of home.
Gotcha.
So
I know, again, whenever we were corresponding, you said you grew up in the Caribbean,
yes.
right? So where we're at?
Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay, gotcha. Mm-hmm. That's one we haven't visited yet. We like to cruise, so obviously cruises go to the Caribbean all the time. So we've done, Jamaica, we've done Cayman Islands, we've done, I'm trying to think of all the places we've gone, Bahamas, most of the popular spots there.
Yeah,
but
Trinidad kind of lets, just gets pushed to the side.
But I'll tell you what, Caribbean food is some of my favorite food.
Yes.
In the Bahamas, we always talk about, and we kind of joke about, we had this really cool dive trip planned for the Bahamas. And then as it happens, we had gale force winds. There was a hurricane way out. It was causing problems up there. So they had to cancel our dive trip for safety. And we were pretty bummed out about it. We wound up finding this random lady that was just, like most tourist attractions, she's just selling trips. You can go here, you can do this, you can do that. She came up to us, she said, look, I'll find you a taxi. That taxi will take you to this place. You can snorkel, you can eat, you can drink, you can just swim, you can do whatever you want to do. And then you just go to the front desk, tell them, and they'll have that same taxi come pick you up and then bring you back. And she's like, I know it's not scuba, but it's close. It's a good, close thing.
Yeah.
So we're like, all right, let's do it. Well, our driver, when he came back to get us, we hopped in, and we had already had like a couple of snacks and stuff, but we were like, we'll just kind of wait until we get back on the ship, I guess, to eat. And we get inside this van, and it just smells delicious. And we're like, oh, my God. What is the smell? And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I stopped, and I got, he said, chicken in a bag. We're like, what's chicken in a bag? He's like, there's literally a hut on the side of the road, $5, and you get French fries and like a half a chicken in a bag, and it's all grilled together with some type of hot sauce and all that stuff and seasonings and everything. And he's like, excellent food. And we're like, okay, well, there's like 6 of us in here right now, and we need to stop and get chicken in a bag on the way back. And he's like, you really want to? And I was like, I don't care if it's out of the way on the way back. We'll pay extra. We'll tip extra. We have to stop and get it. So we did. We pulled up to this little white hut on the side of the road and just walked in, and chicken in a bag.
That's it. Caribbean street food. That's where it's at. That's where all the authentic flavor is.
Yeah,
Street
and
food.
that's the big thing we try to do every time that we vacation is I don't want to eat at the tourist attractions. I don't want to find Margaritaville or, and nothing against them. They got a great thing going, but when I'm there, I want to actually try the authentic food. When we went to Belize, we were in Belize, and same thing. We told our taxi driver, "Hey, we want to buy a bunch of souvenirs, but I don't want to buy at the one where they import everything from China and then sell it to you as a Belizean artifact here in the actual little tourist trap. Like take us somewhere cool." So we went and we heard about Marie Sharp's hot sauce and bought a bunch of that stuff. And it's one of those stories, like a small business story of, well, she started in a small house in Belize making all of her stuff, and then now she ships it worldwide and is super successful. And those are the kind of things that we like. And that's why we do a podcast like this, because we like to get people like you on and hear your story and know that there's more behind it. I can go to a big chain place and get meal preps or microwavable meals or, pop in the oven meals, but we want to hear your story. But before we hop into that,
okay,
we always have to stop and take a second to talk about our awesome sponsor, Community Bank of Texas. So Community Bank of Texas knows that especially now, the experience and availability of your banking partner is crucial, and they're here to help your business. So their bankers have been working diligently to give clients the support that they need during these challenging economic times. And as a business owner, a lot of things probably keep you up at night, but your bank shouldn't be one of them. When you bank with Community Bank of Texas, you have the freedom to focus on your business commitments instead of worrying about the commitment of your banker. They're proudly committed to partnering with you and your business through it all. Short-term hurdles, long-term growth, countless new directions. Because when it comes to doing business, they simply deliver a better banking experience. Community Bank of Texas is a foundation you can build your business on for decades to come. Community Bank of Texas, business banking, better banking, member FDIC, equal housing lender. So let's take it back then. Even if you want to start about your time in the Caribbean, growing up, whatever it is, what made you feel like you wanted to become an entrepreneur, and how did you get to that role?
Let's start with growing up in the Caribbean. So a lot of the things that when I came to the U.S. Was still weird to me because farmers market over here, you find it only on a Saturday or Sunday, but that was available every day back home. The biggest days were Sunday mornings, 4:00 in the morning. You're up at 4 with your grandmother and you're going to shop for vegetables, whatever herbs you need. And that was Sunday lunch. And that set the whole tone for the week. So I'm used to that. A lot of the things that people are now starting to see a trend in, like the benefits of ginger and garlic and all that stuff. I grew up on those things. So even though growing up on it, I didn't know the benefits at the time, is what I always consume. So I find myself as an adult, like I stick to it. And I went to school for culinary management. I have my bachelor's in culinary management. And as I dove into it, I realized I'm like, okay, I can see where I can take this. But I always had a passion for cooking. The first time I actually went to school for cooking was in high school when I opted to do food and nutrition. From there, I went to a tech school, which was food preparation and culinary arts. And by the time I left to come to the States, I was in the beginning of hotel school in Trinidad. Fast forward to 2011, I went to college here at Art Institute of Houston, and we dove into all the different cuisines and all of that. And then it came to Caribbean cuisine. And that was my thing. And on the recipes were some of the Trinidadian dishes, Jamaican dishes. And I was looking at the recipe for the curry chicken. I'm like, what? Mango? Who puts mango in curry? And I was like, no. We're not going to use this recipe. We're just going to cook this like how I cook it at home. And so my chef walked around the table and he was doing tastings. And he's like, this don't taste like the other tables. This tastes way better. So my classmate, she was like, yeah, because Stacey's from Trinidad and she did not follow the recipe. And one of the other snacks on there was made out of tamarind. So that's a snack, street food again in Trinidad, which is tamarind ball. And on the recipe, it was saying to do all this and that, and she was like, "It's not coming together." And she was freaking out. I'm like, "Look, this is not what you're gonna do." And I tell her exactly how my grandmother made it, and she made it, and I tasted it, and tears come out my eye.
Yeah.
So it was, I mean, it was a pivotal moment in culinary school. But moving forward, uh, I got diagnosed in 2015, the ending of 2015, with hyperthyroidism. And I didn't really, take care of it back then. I was like, oh, okay, cool, whatever.
Invincible.
Yeah, you're young, right? Nothing could happen to you.
Nothing can happen.
And so after graduation, I went back home and to spend a vacation, and I couldn't hold anything down. I couldn't hold no food down, nothing. I couldn't hold anything down. And didn't know what it was, but before I left, my specialist, he actually gave me the thyroid medication. And before you take the thyroid medication, you can't be pregnant. And so we did like 3 tests. We did the regular test, we did the HCG, which is with the blood. Then I did one, so it was negative. And okay, cool. So now I can go on a medication. So I started feeling so sick, and I called him before I left, and I say, "Look, I'm feeling sick. I'm getting all the symptoms possible." And he's like, "Okay, well, stop taking medication, and we're gonna have to kill your thyroid function." I was like, "No, you're not. I told you when I walked in, you're not touching my throat." I'm like, "No." And so I went back to the pamphlets that he gave me about the food I couldn't have, the food I should eat, and all that. And I dove deep into it. So I'm like, all right. So I went to school for culinary. I know a few things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I dove deep into it. And I need to tell you, before I even did that, man, I was on. You could say I was on ecstasy or something. I was going to sleep like 12 o'clock at night, sleeping for about 2 or 3 hours, waking up with energy. Like,
Yeah.
wow, because my heart palpitations were so high and my metabolism was so high. I'm already a skinny girl.
Right.
So having hyperthyroidism, it's eating up all my bone, like all my flesh,
you got no
right?
resources left.
Yeah. So I dove deep into, the foods I couldn't eat, the foods I could have, and everything. And what made me actually found out I was pregnant was when I went to the ER for a pain in my side, and they found that I had a kidney infection. And then they told me that I was 4 months pregnant. And I said, "You have to have another Stacey Williams in here."
Right.
Right? It's not me. It's like, it's not me, because it's like, you get pregnant, right? I said, "That's not me."
Yeah.
And so they did all the testings and everything, and they told me I have a kidney infection. I was 16 weeks pregnant, and now I have to go to a gynecologist. At first, I went to my specialist. I'm like, "Hey, I'm pregnant." I know I had started taking the medication. So even before you told me to get off of it, I was already pregnant and taking the medication. The reason you can't take the medication is because it causes deformities, right? So I went back to him and I was like, "Hey, turns out I'm pregnant." And I started taking the medication. What I do from here? He said, "I'm going to talk to you like you're my own daughter." He said, "If you have the baby, you can die. The baby can die. If you don't, you can die." Right? He said it's a high-risk pregnancy. So I went to find a gynecologist that can, give me some answers on what to do and everything. And nobody wanted to see me. And I went back to him and he said, the reason they don't want to see you is because they don't want to be held liable for any decision that you make. So if I have the baby, oh yeah, that gynecologist told me I was okay.
Right.
So it was really, really stressful. And he checked my levels at that time and he told me whatever I was doing, keep it up, because my levels were back to normal. But because I wasn't under medication, nobody wanted to see me. They said I self-healed, right? I didn't self-heal without guidance from my gynecologist. I mean, my specialist, right? So it was all this, politics in the medical field and you doing what you need to do to take care of your own body. So it just wasn't mixing. So a doctor referred me to San Francisco Women's Hospital, and that's why I went to get treatment for the pregnancy. And it was a boy. He was very, very active. He wouldn't let me sleep. And the day after I got to San Francisco, he stopped moving. And I didn't know what it was. And I woke my boyfriend up at the time and I say, "Hey, he's not moving." Call the hospital. They say, "Come on in." And they had to take him out of me. And I was dead on 6 months. Like 6 months on the dot. And the doctor over there got so mad. She's like, "Why do you have to come all the way to San Francisco to get treatment?" and she was like really, really pissed. But I mean, that set the tone for me really taking care of my body. That was even before I'm a faith girl, so that was before I even found Christ and everything. So I
Right.
just started diving deep into the food aspect of it. Um, 2016, that's when I got saved, and I started learning about fasting. And I started learning about the Daniel fast. So Daniel fast was about 3 weeks, and I started really like honing into it, and I did it every January. Um, it was the Daniel fast is really, you have vegan, but it's a step down from vegan. I want to say a step up
Okay.
because no processed food. With
Gotcha.
vegan, you can still have processed food. You can have alternative meats that's processed with a bunch of different
Right.
stuff in it. So the Daniel fast is really you going back to basics. You're going back to basics. It's clean food. You season your food with herbs. You season your food with, just natural stuff. You don't have any processed food. Anything that you make, like say you want to make a vegan burger, you make it from scratch. You know what's going in your food, right? You can't have any yeast, no vinegar, definitely no alcohol, no caffeine, which was a struggle.
I was gonna say these are like I am tuning out right now already.
Yeah, it was a struggle. It was a struggle, and it's just the no caffeine thing was the similar diet I had when I was treating my thyroid illness, right? Because I can't have caffeine, and I started getting shakes. So I'm like, this is going to be really tough, and I love milk, and I
But
can
this
have
is
dairy.
3 weeks only, right?
But yeah, Daniel
Okay.
fast is only 3 weeks only.
So when you say fast, we're not talking about not doing without food.
No.
We're just talking about 3 weeks of basically extremely clean eating.
Clean, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're really going back to basics. If you think of the time before all these different foods was available, what did people eat? They eat food that was grown, right?
Right.
Food from the ground. You have yams, whatever is growing, that's what you ate. You didn't have all these different MSG stuff to season your food and all that. You season your food with what's available. So you're going back to basics.
Mm-hmm.
That's the food aspect part of it, right? The other part of it is fasting, so it's spiritual, and you really just clearing out noise. You're clearing out distractions. So it's really not about the food. The food is the natural part of it, like your body, but then you have the other part of it, which is your mental, your emotional, your spiritual, right? So you're just clearing it out. It's like a total shutdown from the world. You talk about pandemic, your body's really in a state of pandemic, right? So, and what made me jump into starting my own business? I've always wanted to have my own business. My pastor always told me, because I cook, she'd say, Stacey, you should make you some business cards. I'm like, nah, I don't want to cook for anybody.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do catering, which is originally what I started out as. I started out doing catering, meal plans to dealerships, employee meals. I worked in a dealership, and that's what I did. So,
Oh, nice.
I started cooking the employee meals for the dealership, and I was like, okay, I can do this as a business. And I had it catering and meal plans, and I was like, yeah, but catering is really not my thing. I really don't want to do it. So I just like scratched it out completely, and I did meal plans. And in one of the questions that she was asking on the form, it said, what was my biggest hurdle? It's like, how do I fit in this saturated market? I don't want to be doing the same things that everybody's doing. I know there's a lot of meal plans out there. H-E-B came out with one. Walmart came out with one. There's a lot of different meal plans out there. And I'm like, well, what makes this you? How can you put you into this? And I thought back to, my thyroid illness. I thought back to all the steps that I did. And I'm like, well, yeah, this is what I need to do. I need to make this Stacey. And that's my name changed, and I named it Kingdom Kitchen Meal Plans. It's not as extreme as if I'm doing it for myself, the meal plans. I always include something else in there for my clients. So if they do salmon or, chicken, I don't do beef and pork products.
Okay.
Sorry, beefy.
I know, right? So is that, just out of curiosity, is that just a strictly dietary thing, or is it a...
the beef and pork?
Yeah.
Well, pork is really controversial.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I don't want to prepare something that not that I don't believe in it, but I don't want to be responsible for having it. I don't know how to say it exactly,
No,
but
I understand.
chicken and seafood, they're easily digested,
Right.
right? It's easier to prepare. The only fish I prepare is salmon. I don't go into all the different fishes and all that stuff, not yet.
I gotcha.
But it's really not really. It's not a religious reason why I don't provide it, but just I just don't.
Oh, I totally.
Yeah,
I was
just
just
don't.
curious
No.
because obviously, I worked in the food industry for a while as
Mhm.
well, and that was one thing that we would have special requests. You know, for instance, if a Muslim person came in,
Mhm.
they would ask, "Hey, can you please just make sure that you're not using any utensils or anything that's come into contact with pork,
Mhm.
and make sure that you're changing out. Like if you were cutting a pizza that
Right.
had a meat
Yeah.
lovers or something, can you get a fresh one for us?" Which of course, I mean, this is America, so we're gonna accommodate.
Mhm.
If you've got those preferences, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if it was something
Yeah.
to do with that, or and I think
Yeah.
it's the Indian religion
That does the
is,
halal.
man, I am so uncultured sometimes. I
Yeah.
know what I'm talking about here because I've
They halal their meats, and they don't eat beef, and then one other
right.
don't eat pork.
Yep.
So it's kind
A
of
totally different
yeah.
culinary creation, and
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I love Mediterranean food and all that stuff too. So
Healthiest. It's the
really good
healthiest
stuff.
diet you can have there. That's the meal plans that I do. Um, it was so overwhelming because a lot of people was asking for stuff I didn't offer. And because I'm just starting out, I'm like, okay, I will do it. And it's just like a relationship, right? You don't want to do something, but because you don't want to get rejected, you give into it. And again, that was so overwhelming. So I stopped for a while. I pivoted. Okay, it's like, I need to take a step back and see what's going on here. And I really had to make a post about it. I don't have a website. I had one. I cut it out. It wasn't serving me any purpose. Facebook and Google. But I really had to identify who I was in that market. So people knew who I was, what I offer. If I didn't have what you offer, then you wouldn't come. And I was
Right.
okay with that, right?
You got to know your customer,
Right.
your ideal customer. You're a step ahead of the game as far as marketing is concerned, because you said a few really key things of knowing who your customer is and making it you. Why is it different? That's such a big thing. So I like
Yeah.
it. This is great.
Yeah, and it was, I'm doing this by myself. It's not like a team or anything. My daughter helps me with prep, you know. So it was, when you start off as a business owner, entrepreneur, you say, you're your accountant, you're everything, right? So you do everything, and while doing this, I'm taking trainings and coachings and how to do it better and all this stuff. And I was still feeling just lost. And I'm like, no, that's not Stacey. It's not Stacey. So took a step back again, and I said, all right, I gotta shut it down like completely. And I always had this in the back of my mind. I need to like get this out with how I overcame my hyperthyroidism. I need to get it out. How do I put both of them together? And right now, my business is not opened, okay? And that's because I took that step back to really just reprogram
Mm-hmm.
and make it what it needs to be for me. And it's just everything just lined up so perfect that I'm always on the Nextdoor app, neighborhood app, and somebody posted about a recommendation for an endocrinologist. And I posted it and everything, and they said that no doctor would refer her to an endocrinologist. She knows something is wrong, but she wants to go get tested, like with her thyroid. And she said no doctor would refer her, right? And in order to see a specialist, you need to get a referral from a physician, like a general physician. And I asked her, well, what was going on? And she told me, I said, well, before you do that, if you want to, relieve the symptoms, I said, I can share with you what I did. And she said, no, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I said, oh, she probably thought I was trying to sell her something.
Right.
Right? So I said, okay. And it dinged me because there's a lot of different illnesses out there, but thyroid is not really spoken about a lot. So I made a post on my Nextdoor app, and the responses were overwhelming, and I saw a lot of people who needed help with it. And there it came. I'm like, that's it. That's what my meal plans need to be.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it needs to be. It needs to be about, the meal plans need to be about clean food and overcoming thyroid, right? So that's where I'm at right now. I'm closed. I'm temporarily closed, but that's where I'm at right now in the process of doing. And also to coach anybody else who have hyperthyroidism
Gotcha.
and wants to relieve the symptoms and without medication and surgery. So it's I'm thinking I'm all over the place here, but I hope you're hearing what I'm saying. Food is big. Food can make you sick, and it can also heal you.
Mm-hmm.
The right foods. And I stick to clean foods and not calorie counting, because calorie counting is just a trend. I don't have time for that.
I hear you.
I don't have time to think about how much of this I'm consuming. I don't have time. I just want to eat the food, enjoy it, and go about my business. But if you put in the right things in your body, you don't have to worry about calorie counting. You don't have to worry about that. Clean food, clean cooking methods, healthy cooking methods, and you're good. The right amounts. Everything is about balance. Right? And so a lot of people, contact me about, well, do you do, what is it, macros?
Oh, macros?
Macros, yeah. I'm like, who and what?
Yeah.
I'm like, so I'm Googling this. Now, I'm in the culinary field, right? And I still didn't know what it was. So I have to Google what this was. I'm like, are you kidding me? This looked like a pizza, counting how many calories is in a pizza slice. I'm like, that's not me. And I think that's something that makes me, different from the rest of the meal plan businesses out there, because I don't feed into all of that. Everything is trendy. You try something once, it don't work, you jump to the next thing. You don't find something that, can work for you and sustain. Keto, I don't do keto. I don't do paleo and all. I don't do none of that. I just do clean food, clean cooking methods, healthy cooking methods, right amounts. Everything is about balance. So that's Kingdom Kitchen meal plans. And yes, your body is a temple. You need to treat it like that.
For sure.
Because if you don't take care of it's like your car. You take care of your car, right? Why won't you take care of your body? You do your regular maintenance on your car. Why won't you do it on your body? You want your car to last a long time. Don't you want your body to last a long time?
I understand that 100%.
Without getting all these different, surgeries and all these different things. Take care of your body and it will take care of you. Chances are, you're in tune with your body's going to tell you when something's wrong. And if it's your food, you're going to know if you ate something.
Oh, yeah.
This is what it did. So you know not to eat that next time. And it's as difficult as it might be. Sometimes the things that we love the most is what we need to not eat.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm the first to tell you, that's when I'm in that fitness mode, like we are now, where I'm eating a lot healthier. I'm working out every day. It's easy for me to think of those items and just say, okay, I've got to stay away from it because I know that it serves no purpose. I need to eat for fuel. A really good friend of mine told me that in high school. He was really into wrestling and, strength training, that kind of stuff. And that's what he said was, we have to look away from eating for pleasure and eat for fuel, what we need to survive. And I'm like, but I enjoy so much eating for pleasure. Like, I love bread pudding. I love key lime pie. I'm sorry that I enjoy to eat, but you're right. At some point in time, and I would even argue that, being a little gluttonous once or twice every now and then, of course, you need that balance.
Yeah.
Because if you're not having that balance, I don't think that you're going to stick to it.
No.
And I think that's what's happened to me with diets in the past. I've done the extreme calorie counting. I've done strict keto. I've done a few different things, and I have had tremendous success. I mean, I was 5'9", 210, and, decently muscular coming out of high school. My biggest I've ever gotten is up to 292. And then after high school, the lowest I've gotten is around 240. And so I've lost 40 to 50 pounds regularly, kind of like a yo-yo, because I go real strict, and then I'm doing good, And then it's like, okay, I don't care anymore. And it's like McDonald's every day and Burger King and Chipotle and eating all this unhealthy stuff. And let's have all the desserts and every meal's a 4-course meal, And I mean, God, I can't imagine probably 3, 4, 5,000 calories a day, And then now I'm kind of in this balance of, I started out with kind of keto, I limited my carbs heavily. And then, I just kind of, after I had that initial spark of weight loss, I said, all right, let's start working out and I can have carbs and all that stuff. But like you said, let's choose healthier things to go with that. Make sure my carbs are healthier carbs. I'd rather eat quinoa and get carbs from that than eat just,
no carbs
like bread.
at all, and then
or no carbs.
Empty
or
carbs.
Yeah, exactly.
Empty carbs, yeah.
And so I think that balance definitely plays into it a lot more, because it's like, yeah, sure, every now and then we'll go, before Thanksgiving, we were hitting the gym hard because we were like, we know what's going to happen on Thanksgiving Day. It's going to be gluttonous and disgusting. So we've got to hit that gym hard. And then after, it's like, all right, now we've got to reset, get back on track again. We've had a great, week off. Now it's time to get back on track.
Yeah.
And then I do intermittent fasting as well every now and then, where I'll just eat dinner at like 5 o'clock and then I won't have breakfast. Like right now I ate, honestly, this is a long fast for me because I ate kind of crappy yesterday. Yesterday I went to this place called T-Bone Tom's. I think that's what it's called, in Kemah. It's been on diners, drive-thrus, and dives. And Guy Fieri's eating there, signed all kinds of stuff. So we were like, we just gorged out. It was not good what we did. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to eat dinner, which I wasn't hungry for dinner anyway. So I skipped dinner. And then this morning I've had nothing to eat. So we'll go and have lunch, the gym, and all that stuff. And I'm not one that thinks you have to fast all the time, or just calorie deficit of, not a calorie deficit, but starvation diet. I'm not into that either.
Yeah,
just occasionally I like to have a long fast like that.
Yeah, you and like I say, everything is about balance. There's a lot of misconceptions about fasting, and some people do it for diet reasons and some people do it for health reasons. I do it for both. Like I say, I'm a faith girl. I'm all about my Jesus. But when you fast spiritually, the byproduct of that is healthy, is the health benefits. You can have something wrong with your body and you just go on a 3-day or 21-day and it's gone. It's gone. Yeah. So it's and everything again is about balance. And I was saying earlier, it's not just about the food, it's about your environment and everything else. Adults have so much going on. I mean,
Yes.
any and everything can stress you out, and it's good to detox from that sometimes. Like I'm not on social media right now. I don't miss anything on social media, and I'm enjoying Stacey.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying Stacey because I'm not the same Stacey I was last year. I'm not the same Stacey I was last month. So I'm like, oh, let me rediscover Stacey. Let me see what Stacey likes. What makes Stacey spark, right? So it's a whole lot of things. And I was seeing 2 specialists at the time when my thyroid was acting up, and one was a chronic illness doctor. And when he tested me out and everything with my blood pressure and everything, he say it's an autoimmune disease, and then it's caused by chronic stress, right? It's not just a regular stress. Oh, I had a bad day. It's not that. It's not that. You have a lot of these episodes that you just shove to the side so you can keep moving, and then it just spills up and you crash, right? And so part of my healing was eliminating stress. So whatever was stressing me out at that time, I cut it off. And I dove into what I couldn't eat and what I could eat, and I'm healed.
Yeah.
So it's great.
So when we're filming this and when we're recording this is December 1st, 2021. We've got now, I think we're in the 24 or 25 by the time we recorded this episode. So it's always changing. Every episode you listen to, if we mention this, we've just blown up with the amount of recordings we've done. So you never know when this is going to be. This could be released December of 21, January, February, or March of 22. Just depends on how everything kind of falls out. What are your plans? And of course you may not have plans because you're resting for you, but what's your plan for reopening?
My plan for reopening is to only offer it once a month. Okay. And yeah,
Okay.
once a month. And it's going to have 4 different plans they can choose from. And it's going to have 2 different options they can choose. They can do it upfront or they can do by the week. And yeah, that's it. My name is going to remain the same. Right now, they can find me on Google. They can see what's going on Google. And um, that's really it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my plans. It's going to be once a month, and it's going to be in January to April.
Gotcha.
And then after summer, that's the time people need meal plans.
Okay. And so that's just going to be, it's just going to be one pickup in that month for a week's worth of food, or okay.
They can do 1 month of pickup, or they can pay for the 3 weeks or 4 weeks, and then
Gotcha.
they can pick up every week.
Okay. So it'll be
Yeah.
basically weekly meal plans paid for
Mhm.
monthly or
Mhm.
bi-weekly or weekly.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I'm only offering it once a month, so
Right.
you gotta catch it that one time.
Yeah, you can't just come
Yeah.
sign up whenever you want,
Yeah,
add to it.
Yeah, it's gonna be that once a month. This is the time frame that you need to order by within, and I'm not gonna be doing it year round. It's gonna be specific quarters. Basically, when you need meal prep right after the holidays,
Yeah.
you want to get back in that healthy mode,
No doubt.
and then after the summer vacation, when you splurge, you want to get back in that. So it's not gonna be year round. I don't want to say it's seasonal, just not year round.
Gotcha.
So
Do you know an average cost on, I mean, I'm
Mm.
sure it's going to depend on
my
what.
prices are going to change as well.
Yeah, of
So
course.
right now, my average pricing, I want to say is $50 to $60 a week.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
That's not bad.
average. Yeah.
That's not bad at
So-
all.
And what's going to be different with my meal plans is now where they're encouraging you to eat healthy is more expensive.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
My healthy is the least expensive.
Yeah, I
So-
mean, like I said, that's not 50 to 60 a week is not bad.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at. But my
Absolutely.
prices are going to change for when I reopen. So all that's going to be posted on my Google, and then I'm going to pop back up on Facebook.
Awesome. No, I mean, I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad that you have that plan, like you said, you've got to stick to something that makes sense for you.
Yes.
And you can't overly stress yourself. Obviously, owning a business is stressful.
It's stressful enough. Yeah.
But you can't overstress yourself. You've got to make it work for you as well. It's
Yeah.
important for you to have that work-life balance.
Yeah, because you can't go to Skechers and say, y'all ain't have no 9 West heels in here, because that's not what they do.
Right.
So you can't be everything to everybody. You can't offer everything to everybody. And that was my biggest thing. I was like, where do I fit? Where do I fit? How do I separate myself? How do I stand out? And this is how I stand out. And I already checked, I researched, and nobody else is doing it. So
Awesome. Well, I think we shared pretty well how to support you and get people to get out there, find you on Google, and find you on, you said Facebook, right?
yeah, they can find me on Facebook. Just not right now. 'Cause
Right.
I'm not there. I'm
Taking a
logged
little
off.
break.
Yes.
Yep.
But it's Kingdom Kitchen Meal Plans.
Perfect.
Yes.
Anything else you want to get off your chest about the company, yourself, or anyone struggling through hyperthyroidism or anything of that nature?
I would say do your research. Do your research. Everything is not about, and I'm not saying this, I'm not no doctor. I'm not a, health fanatic. I'm not none of that. I'm just saying do your research on your own before you do something that you can't take back, because it can go in your body, but it may not come out. So just do your research.
Understandable. Well, Stacey, thank you for joining me on the show today. I really do appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you
And
so much.
thanks for opening up about everything you opened up about and letting us know, where you came from and how you got started and what you offer. I hope you get nothing but success, wild
Thank
success with
you.
this, and no stress.
No stress zone. We don't need no stress.
Absolutely. So like I tell everybody every single week, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Beef Podcast. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. We couldn't do it without you listening. We couldn't do it without Beefy Marketing and Community Bank of Texas, of course, stepping in and helping us out with the sponsorship. And we couldn't do it without awesome small businesses and small business owners like Stacey, who come in and share very personal stories about how they became an entrepreneur, why they became one, what their company does and why their company does what it does. So please continue to share and support every single one of these businesses that comes in here, and continue to share and support the podcast and what we're trying to do here at Beefy Marketing Studios in Tomball, Texas. As always, y'all, I'm out.
You've been listening to the Beef Podcast, sponsored by Community Bank of Texas, an FDIC member and equal housing lender. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. For more small business stories, follow Beefy Marketing on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. To share your story, visit us at beefymarketing.com. Till next time, thanks for listening to The Beef.